In this video, we're going to be previewing a Final Four matchup here on the left side of the bracket between the number 1 seed and the champions of the East region, the UConn Huskies, taking on the number 4 seed and champions of the West region, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Well, for the number 1 seeded UConn Huskies, the champions of last year's NCAA tournament are back and better than ever here this year in a really tough East region that was hyped up to potentially knock UConn out somewhere along the way. Well, that was not to be. UConn runs through the East region. They're 35-3 coming into the Final Four. They've won 11 straight, including their 4 tournament wins over Stetson, Northwestern, San Diego State, and Illinois. And in those 4 wins, their average margin of victory is by 28 points. They're not just beating their opponents, they're absolutely killing them to this point here as they move into the Final Four. UConn has been so impressive on the defensive end of the basketball floor. No one has scored 60-plus points on the Huskies to this point. They've been so good on defense, and that's what makes me think that they can win it all back-to-back here this year as well. And what surprised me about UConn is how good their three-point defense has been in these 4 games to this point. They've held their opponents to just 23% from beyond the arc. 18 of 80 are their opponents from three-point land. I knew coming into the tournament that their interior defense was next level, anchored by their rim protector, Donovan Clingan, who's been tremendous. We'll talk about him in just a minute. But their three-point defense, a team that theoretically could come in and bomb a bunch of threes on UConn, could potentially pull off an upset. That has not been the case to this point. Again, they've held their opponents to 23% from beyond the arc. That is tremendous. On the offensive end, UConn playing that half-court style of basketball that they've been so efficient at here this year. They played just 66.5 possessions in their 4 tournament games. Now, just because they play a deliberate pace doesn't mean that they can't get out and run. UConn, when you make a mistake on them on the offensive end, they will make you pay on the fast break in a split second. So although they play a half-court style, they can take advantage of you in transition. They've done that here in the big dance. Now, this team has been really solid from 2-point range. They have dominated the paint all tournament long. What has been surprising for UConn is their lack of three-point shooting to this point. They've shot just 28% in their 4 tournament games, which is surprising because this is a team that hit 36% of their threes all season before the NCAA tournament. So again, solid shooting team that has not lived up to that 3-point mark thus far. But in the end, that may make them even more dangerous because when UConn's hitting their threes, they are probably unbeatable here, even in the Final Four, the best that the NCAA tournament has to offer. UConn has been dominant on the offensive glass in particular, 12 offensive rebounds per game. They're getting a ton of second chance points. And as I mentioned earlier, Donovan Clingan, the sophomore big man, has been tremendous all tournament long. 16 points per game, 10 rebounds per game. He's had 2 double-doubles to this point. He's also averaging 3.5 blocks per game. He's a great rim protector. He can score down low at will put your opposing big man into foul trouble, and he's managed to stay out of foul trouble himself. Clingan has had a monster tournament. Meanwhile, for the 4 seed, the Alabama Crimson Tide, this team has used their dominant offense to get to the Final Four this year out of the West region. They come in with a 25-11 record. They knocked off Charleston, Grand Canyon, North Carolina, and then Clemson in the Elite Eight to reach the Final Four. Again, they've been an offensive powerhouse here in the Big Dance, just like they have been all year long. 90 points per game in their 4 tournament games to this point. They've been playing a blistering fast pace as well, 70 possessions per game. So there is a discrepancy in pace here between UConn and Alabama. Also, the Tide have been bombing in threes as well. They've made 12 threes per game here in the tournament, shooting an absurd 41% from beyond the arc. They've been so tough to stop on the offensive end, and really just about everybody on the floor for the Crimson Tide can hurt you from beyond the arc. The leader of the bunch has been their leader all year long. Mark Sears, the lefty, has been awesome all NCAA tournament to this point. 24 points per game and 3.8 assists per game for him. And he's been bombing threes as well. When you leave this guy open, he will make you pay. 45% from three for Mark Sears. So he's been very efficient as well. The big hang-up for me about Alabama is although they've been winning and scoring a ton of points, their defense still hasn't been all that good. Even though they've made it all the way to the Final Four, they've allowed their opponents to score 82 points per game, and that certainly could put them in a little bit of a bind here with UConn. Now, there are three keys here to me in this game, in this matchup, in the Final Four, the winner advancing to the national championship game. Key number one is both teams are going to try to control their style of tempo. If Alabama can speed UConn up and play an up-and-down game, I think it at least gives them a chance to pull off an upset against the defending champions. However, if UConn can make this a half-court game, play their comfortable style in the half-court, but take advantage of you occasionally in transition, it's going to be all UConn in this one once again. Key number two is the big man matchup down low. Whoever for Alabama is going to have to deal with Clingan all day is going to have a massive impact on the game, whether it's Pringle or whether it is Grant Nelson for Alabama, or whether it's double teams every single time. If Clingan has a big game, a double-double, and is protecting the rim well and staying out of foul trouble, UConn is probably going to run away with this one as well. Foul trouble, a big one for Clingan. He's done a good job of staying out of foul trouble here in this tournament. Now, key number three is Mark Sears versus Tristan Newton, and who wins that matchup. Sears has been tremendous all tournament long. He's probably going to have another big game here in the Final Four on Saturday in Phoenix to get them into the national championship game. Tristan Newton has had a heck of a season, an all-American level season for UConn, and he's been good on the defensive end as well. If he can limit Sears and UConn can limit Sears, again, I think the defending champs will probably move on if those three keys go their way. Yeah, in the end here, I'm going to have to go with the UConn Huskies to advance here over the Alabama Crimson Tide to the national championship once again. The fact that UConn has defended the three-point line so well in this tournament makes me think that they're going to be able to get past Alabama here, and they might go back-to-back. No team has gone back-to-back in a long time since the Florida Gators did it back in the 2000s. So give me the UConn Huskies to advance to the national championship game, to have a chance to go back-to-back here in 2024. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing down below to College Hoops Tonight. If you are subscribed and already follow us, thank you for your patience. I know it's been a long hiatus since my first round videos, and I am excited that we're back for these Final Four previews. Leave a comment down in the comment section below if you want to see a national championship preview for Monday's game. I can make that happen if enough of you support this video. Please let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.